Ariel stepped through the church doors with her bouquet held tightly against her trembling hands, the soft music floating through the hall doing nothing to calm the storm rising inside her. She had imagined this day 1,000 times, walking down the aisle, smiling, steady, sure, but the moment her feet touched the red carpet, a strange heaviness settled in her chest, like a quiet warning she couldn't ignore. Every pair of eyes turned toward her, admiring her dress, her veil, the glow they expected a bride to have, yet inside she felt anything but radiant. Her heartbeat echoed louder than the organ music, each step feeling slower, heavier, almost forced. When she finally lifted her gaze to Daniel waiting at the altar, his smile wide and perfectly rehearsed, it didn't comfort her the way she once believed it would. Something about that smile, too smooth, too polished, made her stomach twist. She tried to steady her breathing, reminding herself that this was supposed to be the happiest moment of her life, but the uneasy whisper inside her only grew stronger, telling her that the future she was walking toward might not be the one she dreamed of, it might be something far more dangerous. Just as Ariel tried to steady herself, a sudden movement at the edge of her vision made her freeze mid-step. A man she had never seen before, broad-shouldered, wearing a worn leather vest and heavy boots, appeared beside her as if he had stepped out of nowhere. The guests murmured in confusion, some even rising slightly from their seats, unsure if this was part of the ceremony or some terrible mistake. Ariel's breath caught when she felt his gloved hand touch her arm, not roughly, but firmly enough to make her pulse spike. She didn't dare turn her head, but she felt his presence, solid and strangely protective, like a wall between her and the rest of the world. His voice came low and urgent, barely a whisper, yet powerful enough to cut through the music and the pounding in her ears. "You're in danger," he said quietly. "Pretend I'm your dad." The words didn't make sense, not at first. They collided with her fear, her confusion, her desperate attempt to keep moving forward. But something in his tone, steady and sure, made her legs move again, this time not out of duty, but out of instinct. And in that single moment, she knew her life was no longer following the path she thought it would. Ariel kept her gaze forward, her breath shallow as she tried to understand why this stranger had stepped into her wedding like a shadow carrying truth. As they moved slowly together, the biker staying just close enough to shield her without drawing more attention, he leaned in again, this time as if offering a fatherly blessing, though his words carried a weight far darker. He told her he hadn't come by accident. The night before, he'd been at a bar on the outskirts of town, where Daniel, already drunk and loud, had been bragging about the life he was about to gain. Not the marriage. Not the love. But the money. He spoke about Ariel's inheritance as if it were already in his hands, laughing with friends about how marriage would give him control over everything she owned, everything she was. And when one man asked what would happen if she resisted, Daniel's answer had been chillingly simple: he'd handle it. The words hit Ariel like ice water. Suddenly, every moment she had brushed aside, Daniel's possessiveness, his jealousy, the way he isolated her, came crashing back with brutal clarity. The red flags she had ignored were no longer whispers. They were undeniable warnings. And she realized she was standing inches away from a man she never truly knew. Ariel felt her throat tighten as they reached the altar, her hands growing colder with every passing second. The officiant began to speak, but his voice sounded distant, muffled beneath the rush of blood in her ears. Daniel stepped closer, an irritated flicker crossing his face as he glanced at the biker standing protectively beside her. What happened next unfolded so quickly that Ariel almost couldn't process it. Daniel grabbed her arm, not gently, not lovingly, but with a force that made her gasp. The entire church reacted at once, bridesmaids flinched, guests stood halfway out of their seats, and a shocked silence swept across the room. Before Daniel could pull her closer, the biker moved like a barrier rising into place, stepping between them with a calm, unshakable strength. Ariel stumbled back, her breath trembling as she found herself shielded behind the stranger she had met only moments earlier. At the back of the church, several men wearing matching vests, the biker's brothers, stepped forward, not aggressively, but ready to intervene if Daniel tried again. Daniel's voice twisted into anger, shouting accusations, demanding control, but the room no longer belonged to him. Ariel looked around and realized, maybe for the first time, that she wasn't trapped. She was being protected. As the police escorted Daniel out of the church and the tension slowly dissolved into shaken whispers, Ariel found herself standing beside the biker who had just changed the course of her life. His presence, once intimidating, now felt strangely familiar, steady, safe, almost grounding. When he finally spoke again, his voice was softer than before, carrying not urgency this time, but something far heavier. He told her his name was Michael, and with a long exhale, he admitted that he hadn't always been the man she saw today. There was a time when he was reckless, controlling, quick to anger, so much like the man she had almost married. He confessed that his own daughter had run away from him at 18 because she couldn't bear who he had become. She never came back, and he had lived every day since then with the weight of that loss. Michael glanced at Ariel with eyes that carried years of regret, explaining that when he overheard Daniel in that bar, something inside him shifted. He saw a girl about to walk into the same darkness his daughter had escaped from. He couldn't save his own child, but maybe, just maybe, he could save someone else's. And in that moment, Ariel realized that both of them were standing at the edge of their pasts, finally choosing something different. Weeks turned into months, and life slowly began to feel breathable again. Ariel moved through her days with a gentleness she had forgotten she deserved, relearning how to trust herself, how to recognize safety, how to feel joy without second-guessing it. She often visited Michael, not out of fear anymore, but out of a quiet connection neither of them had expected. He would be sitting outside the clubhouse polishing his motorcycle when she arrived, always greeting her with a small nod that gradually softened into a warm, familiar smile. Their conversations grew longer, lighter, sometimes painful, sometimes healing. He told her stories of the daughter he lost, and she shared pieces of her life she had never dared to speak aloud before. Over time, Ariel realized that the emptiness she once carried, the absence of a father's presence, the longing for someone who would stand beside her without asking anything in return, felt a little less sharp whenever Michael was around. He never tried to replace anyone, never tried to fill spaces that weren't his, yet somehow he became a steady anchor in the new chapter she was building. One afternoon, she handed him a small, wrapped box. Inside was a simple silver bracelet with a tiny charm engraved with two quiet words, "Chosen Family."